You also told some stories through hypnosis classes about working with people who, indigenous populations that use hypnotic-like procedures. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I've actually written a couple of articles for hypnosis journals on this topic because I've met and worked with over 100 shamans over the years. Shamans are socially sanctioned practitioners who obtain knowledge through non-ordinary means not available to their peers and use this knowledge to help and to heal members of their community. And in their words, they go and visit the upper world, the lower world. In their words, they talk to spirits or to deities, sometimes incorporating them. But I just say they just get knowledge in unusual ways and let it go at that. And they do get knowledge because they get herbal knowledge, they know how to use herbs to help people, but they also get knowledge about ritual and about healing ceremonies of one sort or another. And by observing these ceremonies, I noticed that they use basic hypnotic principles. They develop a set and a setting. They have a expectation on the part of the person or the persons who they're going to heal and work with, or sometimes the whole community. And they have a ritual, in other words, a step-by-step procedure to obtain a specific goal. And in employing that step-by-step procedure, they do facilitate a shift in people's attention, a shift in people's thinking, a shift in people's feelings, same thing that is done in hypnosis. Hypnosis involves shifts in one's ordinary cognitive and affective functioning. And some people more than others, depending upon the setting, depending on the susceptibility. But when you do this for a community, it's sort of like an epidemic. One person catches on and it spreads to the next person, and very soon everybody is involved in that shift, what we call a phenomenological pattern that changes either suddenly or very, very gradually. And I have seen Rolling Thunder do this, the Native American medicine man who Mickey Hart introduced me to, by the way. And Rolling Thunder has a very dramatic procedure, and I've seen him do this, where he puts the whole community to work drumming, and after an hour and a half drumming, people are pretty spaced out. And then the designated client, the person who is about to be healed, is generally given the place of honor and is then treated ceremonially, and then maybe later with herbal treatments, massage, or something else, fasting, sweat lodges, etc. And I had a chance to observe this many, many times, but one time it involved hypnosis, direct hypnosis by me. I arrived at Rolling Thunder's camp, and he said, "We want to work with Robert, who's been an alcoholic for many years. He came to me for some doctoring, and so I've been giving him cleansing rituals in the sweat lodge, giving him a lot of good food and healthy things to drink, and he hasn't even been near any type of liquor. And now I want you to hypnotize him, and so that he'll remember what he's learned, and will carry this on when he leaves the camp." And I said, "Fine, I will give him some hypnosis tests, and I will talk with him. I'll figure out the best way to do it." "Oh, no, you're going to see him in just a few minutes." And so he took me to the drumming circle, and there were 50 people around the circle, many of them with drums, and there was Robert right in the middle of the circle on a chair, and there was an empty chair, and that was the chair that I was supposed to occupy in terms of hypnotizing him. So I went and I sat down on the chair, and I introduced myself, and asked Robert if he knew why I was there. He says, "Oh yes, you're going to hypnotize me." I said, "All right, well, he has the expectation. He knows something dramatic is going to happen, so we'll capitalize on that expectation." And so I told him to close his eyes, and I said, "I'm going to count, and as I count, I want you to imagine that you're walking downstairs into a basement or into a cellar, and each step down is going to take you deeper and deeper into the cellar. And as you go deeper into the cellar, you will go deeper into hypnosis." And he just went along with that, responded very well. And then when we were in the cellar, I said, "Now you're in the cellar, and you're going to see the spirit of alcohol. And you don't have to open your eyes, because you can imagine that spirit with your eyes closed." "Oh, yes, I see that spirit of alcohol. Terrible-looking monster. Big fierce eyes, big gnashing teeth. He's out to destroy me." I said, "Oh, no, you're going to destroy him. You have 50 people around. They're going to help you out. They're going to give you a gift right now." "Yes," he said, "they're giving me a bow and an arrow, a traditional Indian weapon." I said, "You know what to do with the bow and arrow?" He said, "Yes, I'm going to shoot him. I'm going to shoot him. There he goes. The arrow hit his heart. He's dead." All right, I said, "Now your craving for alcohol died along with him. Whenever you even think that you're craving alcohol or want an alcoholic drink, you close your eyes, you turn that craving into the monster, you pick up the bow and the arrow, and you shoot the monster dead." And I led him through that, and I said, "Now rehearse this. Even rehearse this when you don't have the urge for alcohol. Rehearse that same scene. But now, with the monster dead, you're still thirsty. What are you going to drink that will be healthy and life-sustaining?" He said, "Oh, some herbal tea." I said, "All right, just imagine drinking the herbal tea right now." "Oh," he said, "yes, that tastes very, very good." I said, "Oh, this is," again, I'm condensing this story. This went on much longer and much more slowly than what I'm telling it. So I had him rehearse that. And once I was sure he had rehearsed it and got it down pat, I said, "Good, now you can open your eyes, and you have the support of all these people in the community." And then suddenly Rolling Thunder appeared out of nowhere in his white buckskin suit, very, very dramatic. And this is another example of a hypnotic-like procedure. Reminded me of the days of Franz Anton Mesmer coming in with his robes with the stars and the suns and the moons on it, and his wand, and putting people in the tub, and you know what happened after that. They just would do anything that he said to get well. Anyway, Rolling Thunder didn't put anybody in the tub because he had too many people in the group, and he just went over to Robert and said, "Robert, this is your last chance." And how do I know it's your last chance? Because an owl was hooting. An owl was hooting 12 times. He said to the community, "You all heard the owl hooting, didn't you?" "Oh, yes, we heard that owl hooting." I didn't hear any owl hooting, but I just kept quiet. Because that owl is a symbol of death. But 12 is a lucky number. So there's a chance for you. There's a chance for you. So now we're going to get the poisons out of your body. And Rolling Thunder, this a little ritual I've seen him do a dozen times or more. He took an eagle feather and he started to poke on Robert's body, and whenever Robert winced, he said, "Okay, there's some poison there," and he took his mouth and he sucked the poison out and spit it into a pail. And I saw what went into this pail, some horrible reddish black looking stuff. That's the poison. Well, I thought it was probably tobacco juice, but so what? That symbolizes the poison just as good as anything else. And then he went around Robert's body, found about 3 or 4 points where he pushed the eagle feather in, and Robert winced, more sucking and cupping and spitting. And then he said, "This is poisonous stuff in the pail. One of my assistants is going to take this off and bury it so it won't do anybody any harm." And so off went the poison, off went the pail, and that was the end of the poison. And by this time, Robert was absolutely exhausted, and Rolling Thunder said, "Now it's time for you to go to bed and get a good night's sleep. but you got to remember everything that the doctor told you, and you're going to be able to rehearse this. You might even dream about it. You're going to feel better now that the poison is out of your body, now that the alcohol is out of your system. You're going to wake up a new man. And he did wake up, and he felt very good the next morning. And he stayed at the camp all the time that I was there, and when I was about to go, he wanted to see me. Now you hear all these stereotypes about Indian men not crying. Well, he was crying up a bucket of tears. He was so grateful. He said, I haven't had a craving for alcohol since that hypnosis session, and I've been rehearsing everything that you said, and I just wanted to thank you. And I said, you can thank me here, but you will give your greatest thank by staying away from alcohol. Some people can tolerate some alcohol, some people can't. I'm afraid you're one of the people that can't, so just stay away. He said, I will. I said, remember to drink the herbal tea in your imagination and in waking life. He said, yes, I will. Okay, so eventually he left Rolling Thunder's camp, and Rolling Thunder kept in touch with him 3 years. And over that period of time, he had not relapsed. That's pretty good for a follow-up session and follow-up record. So I just hope Robert is still doing well, and he left a legacy behind in terms of a really good example of both direct hypnosis done by me and hypnotic-like procedures done by Rolling Thunder.
And I just have one final question, and that's, if you're going to sum up your contributions to the field of hypnosis, how would you characterize it?
Well, I think my contributions have been pretty minor, to tell you the truth. I had never really thought that I'd made many major contributions or even minor contributions, but I suppose if I were to come up with anything, I would say that I have done and published some articles on the use of hypnosis with children with learning disabilities, teenagers, high school students, and also college students. And every time I worked with somebody, I wrote it up, so eventually I had enough cases so I could describe them pretty well in actually more than one article. And those procedures are basic, standard hypnotic academic achievement, highly motivating procedures, and they're cited in the literature to this day, even though they were done decades ago. Also, I've linked hypnosis to other shifts in consciousness. One of the early articles I wrote was comparing hypnosis to psychedelics, and that came out in the classic book Altered States of Consciousness, edited by Charles Tart. I think that obviously one contribution I've made is to find hypnotic-like procedures in traditional healing, shamanism, and other indigenous healers like medicine men, medicine women, and have traced down the similarities there, and that's a topic I even lecture on from time to time. I'm not a psychotherapist, and so I can't claim any great contributions there. However, I have encouraged psychotherapists to learn hypnosis because, if I read the literature correctly, hypnotically facilitated psychotherapy improves the therapeutic outcome significantly, and it also improves client satisfaction significantly. And this is all in the journals. It's in Irving Kirsch's book. I think that arguably more and more psychotherapists should learn and should use hypnosis, and that's why I'm so pleased that we have a hypnotic studies certificate here at Saybrook University with Eric and Don Moss and others, some of them are alumni, doing the teaching, doing the instruction. I just wish that there were a couple of dozen more universities had these certificate programs. So I spread the word on hypnosis whenever I can, but I also point out that hypnosis is not a magic wand, and that hypnosis, if not practiced and used correctly and effectively, can even sometimes have an untoward effect. So, you know, there's a downside to everything that's healing. What can heal can also make a person sick. The dangers of hypnosis are minimal compared to many, many other therapeutic interventions, especially certain types of medication. But nevertheless, there is a need for good education and training in hypnosis. Maybe another minor contribution that I've made, I've done a push for professionals not to use the word hypnotherapy, because that indicates that the whole therapeutic technique is based on hypnosis. No. We have hypnotically facilitated psychotherapy. A person can be a cognitive behavioral therapist, a humanistic existential therapist, a psychodynamic therapist, or anything else, and use hypnosis to facilitate that type of psychotherapy. And that sort of gets our terminology cleaned up, and that sort of sets the record straight. And it also makes people, I hope, a little bit wary about going to a person who only uses hypnosis for psychotherapy and does not have a strong therapeutic training or counseling or a social work or a medical or a dental background on which to build that use of hypnosis.
I believe you've also been the president of Division 30 along the way. You've also been a member of both ASH and SESH, I think?
I didn't hear you.
Have you been a member of both ASH and SESH?
Oh yes, I'm a fellow in both ASH and SESH. I joined both organizations as soon as I could. I've been in both for decades. I'm a great supporter of both. And also the International Society of Hypnosis I'm a member of. And so I pay my dues. I go to meetings whenever I can, and I encourage students to join. I encourage professionals to join. Those training sessions are wonderful. That's why I learned hypnosis. I learned hypnosis by going actually to the primarily to the sessions where Milton Erickson was one of the main speakers, which would have been the American Society for Clinical Hypnosis, and learned a lot from him and from the other instructors. And I've also been to at least one training session, the basic, the intermediate, advanced. Yes, years ago I did all of that training. And again, I encourage people to do that so you know the proper procedures and the proper way to proceed. Those training sessions are wonderful. And of course, the work here at Saybrook is very similar to what people can get at ASH and SESH training sessions.
Well, thank you for those stories, and thank you for taking some time with us tonight.
You're very welcome.